Hi, everyone. Welcome to our presentation. So today you're going to hear from three different schools about our best practices regarding our freshman programs. But I'm going to kick things off. Go ahead to the next slide. So I'm Anna. I'm the internal director for Turfbond this year, and I'm going to share some more about our best practices for freshman recruitment, education, and retention. Our freshman program is called membership development, and some of the focuses are recruitment strategies that are targeted towards freshmen, program education and integration, fostering leadership skills in our future leaders. That's a really big one for our program. And then improving retention through bonding initiatives between freshmen and our existing members. So some more about each of those focuses, our best practices regarding each. For our freshman recruitment focus, something we've seen a lot of success with is tabling and having a presence at freshman orientation. Also, always great tabling near freshman dorms, having freshman targeted events. In the past couple of years, we've had something called Get the Scoop, where we gave out free ice cream to those who applied to be part of Turfcon. We did that near freshman dorms. We've also had info sessions, different types of activities, and then intentional recruitment practices were a key focus for us this past year about recruiting members who were really passionate about our cause, not just recruiting like anyone, not just focusing on numbers, but like more of the quality of the people that we are recruiting. In terms of education and program integration, we saw a lot of success with our Miracle Family engagement last year. Our freshmen really loved having like a Miracle Kid game night and Q&A type thing. That was super fun. We also had a Finding Your Why workshop. I have a packet on that if anyone's interested. It was really great for freshmen to really understand and articulate their whys. I think it really inspired those around them. And then something that's really unique to Turfbond is having a personalized interview and committee placement process. We really love doing this. We think that like having an individual interview each of our freshmen and to see like what committee is the best fit for them, it really gives them more of like a say in the process, but also it's more personal and builds relationships. And then building future leaders for our program, we really focus on highlighting growth opportunities and encouraging leadership position applications. Even if someone's like a freshman and becoming a sophomore, they might feel like they don't have like the skills to do that, but encouraging them to apply and take that leap. And something that really helps those application numbers is fostering connections early on between freshmen and like leaders in the org. So whether it's executive board or whoever. Last thing for best practices, bonding initiatives. Last year, we started something called Miracle Match program. It was brand new, definitely has some room for improvement, but I think it holds a lot of potential. It's more of like a big little type system in a way, but it's a way for freshmen to have like a friend in the organization. So someone who's been part of Turfbond in the past. And it's really helpful around dance marathon time when like they don't know what to bring or just have different questions. It's great to have a friend, someone there as a mentor. Something else that we do, we have flame families, which are like small groups within the membership development program. And I think that's a great way to have connections at a lower level and emphasizing connections between freshmen and existing members. Next slide. We've seen some proven results with this. So last year, 50% of our membership development class that stayed in Turfthon were recruited at freshman orientation. So recruitment there really does work. Then 52% of this year's executive board applicants were part of last year's membership development class, and 41% of this year's captain applicants were part of last year's membership development class. So you can really see here that like the people that we were recruiting when I talked about intentional recruitment practices, they really did stay and they moved up in leadership positions in the future and they felt equipped to take that step and take that leap and apply. And they're being leaders in our organization now. In terms of scaling the program, I don't have too long on here. I'll just highlight a few things. Something that's really great for all programs, I think, is having some sort of small group that we call them flame families, call them whatever you want, but I think having that smaller group is a great way to build connections and having someone else, whether it's captain or some leader responsible for promoting like education and engagement at a lower level. So it's not just like coming from one person. It's a great way to facilitate small group bonding, get people talking, get people to feel like they have a home, a place in the organization, and really get to meet people and build connections. Something that's really great for scaling, I think, is the captains being part of the interview process. So the interview process itself, whether you use captains, different type of position, make a leadership position, you can do that to fit the needs of your program. But definitely the interview process is something you can scale up or down to kind of meet the needs of your program and get past the daunting task of conducting individual interviews for every freshman that you have. So just to conclude, next slide. This is my contact information. I am the internal director, and then I was membership development chair last year, and then this year's chair is Victoria, and she's also happy to answer any questions. So thank you all.
Hello, everybody. My name is Addie Timmerman. I am the executive director of Huskerthon this year, which is from the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Next slide. So our first year program is called First Year Impact, which at our school is a 4-week program that is made to educate, inspire, and build leaders for the future of our program. So I gave kind of a rundown of what our program will look like, a short one, and I'll explain. But the first 2 weeks of our school year are dedicated to recruiting first year students. So we have a big Red Welcome Week that we attend all of the events that they hold and are tabling there. But once we have a group of students that are wanting to be a part of our first year impact, each week we introduce one of our cabinets, and we have VPs and directors come in and introduce themselves, describe their roles and responsibilities. And then we also introduce Miracle Children every week. And at the end of each session, we show them our staff slides from the previous week to give them a look into what our program is doing at the current moment. So to be more specific, in week 1, it's a big welcome week. We do icebreakers, get to know each other, those kinds of things. And then we introduced our engagement cabinet the first week. The second week we did programming. So our VP of programming came in, and some of our directors came and talked about planning Huskerthon, what those look like, planning special events. And then we talked about the hospital, gave a very detailed rundown. We also had our hospital rep, Elisa, zoom in and talk about the relationship between the hospital and the organization. And then week 3, we talked about our PR and marketing cabinet. And then as well, they went to their first staff meeting ever. I met with them before their first staff meeting, laid down what it would look like, what expectations they should have. And then week 4, we did finance. So we also did have them be put in a fundraising scenario, how to do like a little elevator pitch, that kind of thing. And then they attended their last staff meeting. After their last staff meeting, the first year impact director met with them one-on-one to talk about their strengths, their interests, and where they think their strengths would lie best within the organization. So that's what first year impact looks like as a whole. Go ahead and do next slide. But in more specifics, how we do what we do. These are the 3 main things we focused on: educate and inspire, transitioning, and relationships. So educate and inspire. I described in the last slide what we do to explain the program and responsibilities. We have the vice presidents and directors come in to explain the roles and responsibilities, and as well as the positions around them if we couldn't have someone else come in and do it. We invited them to all of our events that were happening, even though they weren't staff yet. But we also shared our Miracle Children stories and gave lots of cause connections during our meetings. So this upcoming year will be our 3rd year of first year impact. After the first year, we got a lot of feedback that the transition from a first year student to a staff member is a little bit rocky. So this past year, we really focused on transitioning them from the 2. So we did a mentorship program. So we had people fill out a form from staff and our exec team if they wanted to be a mentor to a new member. And then we also had them shadow people at staff meetings to do us committee assignments. And then relationships create a huge increase of buy-in for people to want to come back, another reason for people to want to come back. So these are some of our statistics that we have pulled from the past 2 years of having first year impact. After the first year of having this program, in the 2022 to 2023 school year, 21% of our executive team was made up of students who went through our first year program, which was a great increase. And then this past year, the 2023-2024 first year students, they went through, we saw an increase of numbers. We went from 20 first year students to 25 first year students, only 5, but it's still an increase. From this past year's first year impact program, 68% of our executive team for the 2024 to 2025 year is made up of first year students. In fact, our management team that's here at DMLC, 3 out of the 5 of us went through the first year program, so that's pretty cool to witness and see that the leadership is being instilled and growing. What does this mean to you? The main things I want you guys to take away from this whole thing is that structure, transition, and retention are the 3 things that are the most important for any school of any size. Structure, intentionality and lesson planning, making sure to plan icebreakers, utilizing captains if needed if you're a larger program and feel it's impossible for your first year director to make personal connections with every single one of the new students. Having staff take on a little bit more of a leadership role to be a captain of the first years, and building those connections is great. And then our mentorship program was also something that still has a lot of improvement to be made, but it made a world of difference for people ask questions, feel that they're needed, those kinds of things. Transitioning into staff, again, using the mentors for better transition, doing transition meetings between the first year director, their new staff position director, and just maybe a staff member even to talk about roles and responsibilities. And then retention, you really were intentional with picking our first year director, because the first year director is a first impression of the organization essentially. So having someone that wants to be friends with everybody, who's excited to be there, who's passionate, wanting to build and inspire these future leaders. Thank you. This is my contact information. If any of you have any questions, I'm happy to talk to you and give you any advice that you'd like.
Beautiful. All right. Hi, my name is Grace, and I am the executive director of Autothon, which is Syracuse University's dance marathon program. And I'm here to tell you about the Autothon Leadership Program, which is our first year leadership program, also known as OLP. So our overall goal with OLP is to provide first year students with a community of fellow first year students while learning more about Autothon, its goals, and advancing their own leadership and professional development skills. So overall, we're trying to teach them more about Autothon as a whole and kind of ease them into the organization and set them up for a leadership position in the future, while also welcoming them to Syracuse's campus and helping them make friends and connections with fellow first years and learning more about how to develop their own professional development. So a little overview of our program as a whole to kind of walk you through how it works. So our onboarding process for our OLP program is we have 2 first-year recruitment chairs on our executive board that is in charge of the program. We typically try to have 1 guy and 1 girl on as the chairs, just because we have seen that that helps increase the male applicants for our program. But that is absolutely not a necessity or requirement at all. So we have those 2 chairs, and throughout the summer, they are brainstorming how they can advertise this program to first year students. And in August, they announce applications on our Instagram and social media, and first year students will apply to be a part of the program. And then we conduct interviews with them. The interviews are a lot more of a formality than a requirement. At Syracuse, a lot of the organizations on campus offer or require for you to go through an interview process. So we like to do that with these students so that they have that experience under their belt, so that while we would love for them to stay with Autothon, not all of them do throughout all 4 years, but they have that experience. So once we get our OLP class, which is typically around 30 people, they will begin to have weekly meetings. They're typically on Monday nights, and each of these meetings will kind of depend on what they do depending on the year or the time of the year. But a typical meeting will start with overall updates of the organization, updates of what was told to the first year recruitment chairs at their e-board meeting that they think that the first year students need to learn more about. And then they usually will have a member of the executive board come in and talk to them about their position. So if it's fundraising, for example, they will come in, talk about themselves, introduce themselves to all of the OLPs, and explain what their role in the organization is and how they can be a part of it. And then this position will lead them in an activity related to their goals. So, for example, if it was fundraising, the OLPs then would brainstorm with this chair what a fundraising initiative for the organization could be, or for just their OLP class as a whole could be. And then they will execute that at some point throughout the year to help with fundraising or whatever goal it could be. And during these sessions, we get so many really good ideas from them from a more underclassmen perspective that a lot of our executive board just don't have anymore, because it is made up of more juniors and seniors than freshmen and sophomore. But yeah, so they will work on that, and then they'll also just talk about what's going on in the organization at the hospital as a whole. So for example, if it's Child Health Day, they'll focus on that, give their input for ideas, and see how they can help out. Throughout the year, this program starts in August and it goes all the way until our main event, which is typically in March, having those weekly meetings. And something else we do during these meetings is leadership development. So helping the OLPs learn what their leadership style is, what kind of what kind of communicator they are. And something we do with them are get them professional headshots. So we're really fortunate that our hospital is about a 5-minute walk from our campus. So they usually will walk down to the campus and they will have one picture holding up our e-board polo, and then one just in professional wear. And a lot of these first year students will then make that their LinkedIn profile picture so that they have a nice professional headshot going forward throughout the rest of their college career, which is really nice. And then they also have a photo to post when it comes to event time, as during event week, our executive board will always post a photo in their polo. Then the OLPs get to post a photo holding up the polo, kind of as a fun little thing for them to do. And then they're also involved in event planning. Something that we started to do last year is that Syracuse is going to be starting a mini-thon program, and our OLPs are going to be very heavily involved in helping plan that event, which they have been so excited to be able to have a hand into that development too. They will plan at least one event for Autothon to do throughout the year. Then we really focus on team bonding with the OLPs with the rest of the organization as well. Something they do within their OLP class is they will typically once a month have some sort of form of OLP bonding, because all of these students are brand new to Syracuse, possibly have never been in the state of New York before, and going into college is really scary. So having 29 other first year students that you get to be with once a week is really helpful, especially when you're brand new to a school. I was an OLP and it was something that really helped me to make friends. So the first year recruitment chairs will plan different bonding opportunities for them to get together, whether it's ice skating, movie nights, game nights, whatever it is, just so they can get to know one another more before they have to interact with everybody else in the organization. Then about 3 years ago, we started or 2 years, this will be our third year, we started our mentor-mentee program, which is OLPs with a member of the executive board. And it's kind of like Big Little in Greek life, where they will go on dates with people. With the OLPs will go on dates with executive board members, and they will get matched up by the first year recruitment chair. And we do a whole mentor-mentee like reveal for them and have a little get together type of thing to welcome them into their new family, which is really fun. That photo there is from our mentor-mentee reveal. We're starting to have some families form since we've started this, now that we're entering our third year, which is really exciting. And then something else that OLPs will do is at some point in the year, they have the task of creating OLP merch for themselves. So it's usually a crew neck sweatshirt that will just say Autothon Leadership program on it, and they get to wear it and kind of rep that they're in this program, which gets them really excited. And our Cause Connection is they do some sort of Cause Connection workshop every week when they go in for their weekly meetings, but it's really big on event day. We have about 12 Miracle Kids who will come to our event every year. And on that day, the first year recruitment chairs will choose 12 OLPs who will be that Miracle Kids partner throughout the day. So they're with the family and with the kid and doing whatever they need for the entirety of the day to make that family comfortable, which is something that has really connected the OLPs back to the cause. So something really big that we have seen from this program over the past several years is how much they help in our fundraising as a whole. We have a really high retention rate of OLPs in recruitment and like staying in the organization and going up to e-board. Our steering board, for example, 3 out of 4 of us were OLPs. But fundraising aspect is something that I think is also really important to think about, because you have a dedicated group of students, first year students, coming together every week to think about Autothon and to think about how they can fundraise for this hospital. And them learning the skills of fundraising this early on, we've seen helps them throughout the rest of their time in Autothon throughout the next 3 years of their college career. So in 2018, which I believe was the second year OLP started, 4.5% of our total fundraising number was raised solely by the OLPs. And last year, that number rose by 10.6% to 15.1% of our total fundraising number was raised solely by the OLPs, which there were about, I think, 28 of them last year. And we had over 700 people registered as participants. So for 28 of them to be 15% of our total fundraising number is really incredible. And they did an amazing job of coming up with different initiatives for the whole organization, the day of the event, and just within OLP as a whole as well. So how to implement this at your school? First off, I'd like to say any size program, I believe, can implement the suggestions I am about to give and make adjustments based on how your program operates. You know your program better than anybody else, but no, you can change whatever you need to, but this type of program is really beneficial. So I strongly encourage you to start it, and you'll get to watch it grow over the years. My biggest piece of advice is to dedicate an e-board chair or assign the job to an existing e-board chair if creating a new e-board chair isn't something that's possible for your program, to lead the group of individuals. Our first year recruitment chairs are also technically required, or not required, but responsible to recruit all of the first year students at Syracuse to register for the event as a whole. A group of students as kind of like their niche to take care of and mentor and welcome into the program has been really helpful. This was my position 2 years ago, and I loved it so much. And it just really helps because it is a big job to bring 30 some students into an organization and help them love it and help them develop their leadership styles. So making sure that you have people who are dedicated to solely that job is really important and will help develop it further in the future and to build that curriculum. When you're recruiting your students, use the resources that are already on campus that are geared towards first year students. Some of the ones that we focus on a lot are orientation leaders and orientation groups during Welcome Week or whatever your school's equivalent of that might be. We'll often use our tour guides to mention this program when they're touring new students around school once they are committed. Orientation leaders in their small groups will often have the QR code in their binders to apply for the Autothon Leadership Program right there for students to scan if they're asking what they can get involved in, and putting up those QR codes and posters around school solely for the first year leadership program during Welcome Week and during those first year populated environments is a really good way to get students in. Just because when you first get to college, your first thought is, I need to find something to join so I can make friends. So really taking advantage of that is really helpful. Having interest meetings is the best way we have found to recruit first year students. And then schedule weekly meetings and let the students help you create the program is really important. Something I found when I led this program was that I was doing what my predecessor had done pretty much down to the T. And at a certain point, the OLPs I was leading at the time, which are the ones in the photos, said they wanted to switch it up. So we had a meeting where they gave their ideas, they put in their input, and we changed our meetings based on that. And that really helped improve the program as a whole and kind of helped me realize that it's really collaborative and let be student led, and letting them dictate what they want to do with those meetings is really important. That's something that our last year's class of OLPs also really emphasized, liking being able to kind of take charge of the program a little bit. And they liked the structure, but they also wanted to have some input, which was very exciting. As your program grows, consider implementing a mentor-mentee program, giving more jobs to the students, and possibly creating a committee within OLP. Something that we did my year is that a large number of OLPs will apply to our executive board, and we can't always offer all of them a spot because a lot of people are applying. So something we have done is we have taken some of OLPs who we really wish could have been on the board, but there simply just wasn't room for them, and have put them on the first year recruitment committee. So they are the committee under the e-board who helps lead those meetings. My year I had 3 people under me, and I would just give them tasks, give them different jobs. One of them was in charge of running mentor mentee. One of them was in charge of organizing their merch order, talking with them, and the other was scheduling when e-board members came in for meetings. So those are different things you can do to elevate your program as it grows and blossoms into more of a constructed program. But any type of first year program at the beginning, I think, is amazing. And that is all for me. Thank you guys so much for listening. That is my contact information. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. If you would like to be connected to our current first year recruitment directors, please let me know and we'd be happy to do so. Thank you so much for listening to us. And if you have any question for any 3 of us, please don't hesitate to contact any of us.